You all have seen how I play Jurassic World Alive, but let's see how someone else plays it. Hello and welcome back to another installment of Fodder. In today's video we are talking about Jurassic World Alive, and more specifically I'm going to look at a high level player and how they battle compared to what I would do. Now if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know I'm not the best at always making the proper play. But today I have a video from Pierre. Now if you don't know who Pierre is kind of the managing partner behind Gamepress. And she's ranked inside the top 50 and she's a mainstay inside the top 100 at the end of the season rankings. She has very high level creatures and is playing at a very high level of the game, but not all of her creatures are completely meta. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to watch some of her high level gameplay against other high level players and see what they do that I don't do, and talk about what maybe I would have done good or bad. But before I dive into today's breakdown, I want to take a moment and say, make sure you are checking out Gamepress's coverage of Jurassic World Alive. There you will find breakdowns on matchups, you will find articles, they have their own tier list, and they dive deep down into the simulator to tell you what creatures fare the best against other creatures. It is a wealth of knowledge, and if you want something more interactive, make sure you follow the link to their Discord channel where you can get help on building a team, finding an alliance, and becoming a better player in Jurassic World Alive. And now let's get into the breakdown. All right, Nebula Shores. I've never seen this place before. Pierre, it looks like she is going to have Smile Anemones, Gemini Titan, I didn't catch the other two, Max and Gripo, I believe, going against, what is this, an Endom Gen 2, 160 speed. Oh, snap. Okay. So Cautious Strike is going to be the first play. Really the best play there for Endom Gen 2, I think. Decelerating Rampage. Now, personally, I probably would have gone with the decelerating shield, the definite shield advantage in that situation. And then taken the deceleration on turn 2 because I would have been afraid of the Mutual Fury. But wow, that was a lot of damage. And no Mutual Fury from her opponent. So see, I would have played this one completely different. I would have been fearful of the Mutual Fury coming back at me. And then they swap out. Another play I would not have made. I would have just sacked my Endo Gen 2 at this point, I think. Nullifying Strike goes out just in case they did Evasive Stance. Pretty standard play. The swap out really threw me there. And then they're going to swap back in. This play makes a lot of sense right here. Swapping back in to take a potential Rampage. Although Pierre didn't fall for that. That seems like a pretty crafty move right there to go with the definite shield advantage, especially when Trico rips through shields. Another play that I never would have thought about. Thorodolosaur, our favorite. And Pierre's just going to swap right out. See, another play that I would not have done. You can see why I'm not on these high levels. I would not have done this because even if the swap in stun works, then I've just set up Thor to hit me with a Rampage on turn 1. Although I guess if I'm faster, then my Precise Pounce here is going to reduce their damage 50%. Man, that's still not a play that I would have made. That, to me, that's a gutsy play. And then Smile Anemones just gets rocked. What do you go with in this situation? Maxima? Okay. I think Thor is faster than her Maxima, but at 8,300 HP, that, ooh, and then the crit. I don't like Pierre's draw. I have to be honest. The two towers, the two bulky, I don't know. I don't run Max because I can't figure out how to run it. But I don't even know what this... I'm watching this live. This is the first time I've seen any of these gameplays. And I have no idea how she's up 2-1. Because I'm watching it thinking, if this were me, I would have lost to the Endo. In fact, Endo probably would have swept my team, even at these high levels. And I don't think she's out of the woods yet. So she's going to go with the definite shield advantage. See, in this situation, I would have gone with the decelerating, assuming my opponent was going to swap out, and then I would want to be faster. And it would not have worked out well for me because they have a 161 speed with almost 2400 attack. So the shield's going to be perfect in this situation. And then you got the swap out, so you don't have to eat the rampage. See, that's not how I would have done that. Oh, that was a hefty crit. Almost 5k, but... Ooh. Wait a minute. They're going to go cloak, okay. And there's the knockout. Okay, so I just noticed who this was against, and this was Ravenger's lover, who's actually in my alliance. I had no idea, so sorry about that, Ravengers. Very, very interesting play there. From my perspective, misplays everywhere. But I think the perspective of it is the misplays were on my end. Because, as I mentioned, when I have Gemini Titan up against Endogen 2, I will typically do the shield advantage because I want to remove the evasive properties off of Endogen 2, but additionally I want to put up a shield and then follow with the decelerating rampage, and I want to do that so that I don't have to worry about mutual fury. In this situation here, there was no fear. They weren't worried, and maybe that's what happens when you have super high HP, is you have to play it a little bit differently. I don't know. But from that point on, like, that set up the entirety of the game. Whereas in my situation, I would have lost my Gemini probably, maybe, but I don't know. I'm like completely at a loss, but that was a pretty wild... I was just in awe of the whole thing there. And just the way that the swap out, and then the swap back in to eat the rampage, which I totally agree with. But Pierre was crafty. She didn't take the bait. She didn't use the rampage that I definitely would have used. And then later on in the battle, she did not use a rampage when it looked like an obvious swapping situation. In my personal situation, I would always use something for deceleration to try to gain the speed advantage on whatever they swapped in. Very interesting. That was pretty eye-opening for me personally. All right, well, now I'm really interested to see how the rest of these videos play out. If there were so many differences between just one battle over the course of 3 battles, I think I'm definitely going to learn something. And I'm glad I have these, because then I can kind of watch some other things and go back and rewatch these and see what I would have done differently. But with all that being said, let's jump into battle number 2. All right, here we go. Back on the shores, and it looks like we are going to have Max, Mags, Smile-O-Nimes, and Gripo again. Another opener that I really struggle with, Mags. 158 speed, 2100. Like, this isn't that different than whatever I see in the library or the depot. So that was interesting. So opens up with the distraction. Everything looks pretty standard here. There's really no other way to play this from the open. The rampage, God, it's so much HP that it's able to survive. And then it's definitely, she's going to get the knockout here. Yeah, that having all that HP made all the difference. Ardentis Maxima, okay, who's faster? Ooh, they're max at 114, not doing much more damage, if any, than their mags. So it seems like a pretty low damage Maxima. Gonna get the easy knockout. No swap here. Personally, I would have just taken the KO, just like Pierre did here. She has 2 really good options between Mags and Smile-O-Nimes. I think Mags is definitely the obvious choice here. Smile-O-Nimes' best options against Max are to do the precise pounce and then the swap out, but you really don't want to swap into Mags. So nullifying impact, I think, just in case her opponent went for the instant invincibility, and that took a lot out of Mags. I can't do the math in my head that quick, but I didn't think that they were going to get the knockout here. So Pierre's going to be down 2-1. Although this Max, this tanky Max, is basically KO'd. Let's see what happens here. This could be an instant distraction, and she went with the shield. Maybe she's anticipating the instant distraction. I would have just gone with the precise pounce personally, and said if they go instant distraction, I'll use my shield on the next turn. No harm, no foul. Maybe a better play here for Pierre, but she loses her shield. Ooh. Now you have Smile Enemies and a faster Smile Enemies going against you, and all she has is Max. Now Max is a good matchup here, but I don't like the swapping into the Max. Okay, so Deliberate Prowl. Okay. Ugh. I don't like Pierre's odds in this one. I have to say. Gonna try to go for the dodge. Precise. She went with Precise Pounce against the shield. I mean, that's not much damage. If I'm Pierre, I'm thinking I really need to get into my max, but at the same time, I really don't want to eat. I don't want to eat a rampage into my max, but I don't think she has any other options at this point. I think you kind of have to do the rampage and run. Hope that the matchup works out in your favor, since you do have a favorable matchup and they are a little short of HP here. And then the rampage and run. See, that's what I would have been concerned about as well. And then into Trico, and this is another bad matchup for Max, except she has the speed lead over, and she was going to have it anyways because of the decelerating impact there. But, this is going to be close. Like, I can't do that. I don't have the numbers memorized, so I can't do that math off the top of my head. But 26, so she's going to survive without a crit. And there's no crit, and she is faster. Okay. I mean, it's the only play that her opponent had there, really. Swap and stun is going to do no good. Decelerating impact. She's not going to slow down in the Nimmies. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think this looks good for Pierre. She could go instant invincibility. I mean, it's really her only option at this point, right? But I don't know what she has after this. Like, she's not faster. Okay, she's going to swap in. There's no stun possibilities here because Nimmies is immune to stuns. But I still think, like, I don't... Like, Precise Pounce here is going to do... How much damage? Yeah, I don't think Pierre wins this one. Rampage and run should seal the deal. Okay. So that one felt pretty straight up. Pretty straightforward as far as the battle goes. I didn't see a whole lot that you could do differently. Everything kind of looked straightforward. And it seemed to be like level proof. And what I mean by level proof for that particular battle is the levels that you're facing, even if you're not on shores, if you're not in game level 30, high boost counts, the matchups and the way they played out are kind of the way that I see them down where I am between library and the depot as well. So that's what I mean by like level proof, is that seemed like a pretty straightforward battle. It was a good battle. It was a close battle, but I didn't see anything that was like we saw in the first one, where kind of high level moves that I was not expecting to see and played differently than I would have expected it to be played. So here it is, the final recording. Told her to send me 3 and she did. She has Gripo, Monostego, Triostronics, and Smile Enemies. I like it. This is a good swap team right here, because you have a swap no escape, you have a swap with damage. I can't remember everything. She had Smile Enemies, swaps with a stun. She's going to lead with Smile Enemies. I don't like Smile Enemies against Dio here. And she doesn't either. She just straight swaps right off the bat. And then she had Trico, which is a pain. I wonder how fast hers is. So instant distraction, totally normal play. There's one move that I definitely would not have made. I hate swapping turn 1. But she would rather swap out into a different matchup and take an initial hit than eat that initial hit, especially on something that is most likely going to do a passive attack, which was instant distraction instead of a physical attack where damage is done. So probably the smartest play to make, and a very calculated risk that worked out well for her. I don't think she lost anything by making that switch. I think she gained a lot by not having a bad matchup right off the go. So I feel like Gripo just destroys Dio here. This is not a matchup I'm familiar with at all. I don't know a whole lot about Gripo or playing against or with Gripo, just to be totally honest here. Dio, I have a little more experience with. I will run it from time to time. I just don't see a lot of it much anymore. So this is kind of an interesting, this almost feels just like two heavyweights just slugging it out. And I think Gripo, because of that amazing counter, ooh, what a misplay. Did they just try to swap? But I think because of that counter, the Gripo kind of just destroys Dio. Maybe her opponents knew that and saw that and mistakenly tried to get out of a bad matchup there. Level 30 Gripo. Ugh. And then the try to escape and then getting stunned. God, that's just the kiss of death, really. The Dio is doing a decent amount of damage here. But yeah, that was really well done, swapping out of Smile Enemies into the better matchup. I think this one highly favors Magna. Although, because of the mistake of trying to swap out, Pierre's opponent allowed her to cycle all the way back around to the regen, which could end up being a huge mistake later on down the road. I would expect Mags here to go with the Rampage move. Definitely. I don't know what the damage total is here. Oh, 5,020. Ouch. Okay. And yeah, I wish I remembered what Mags did first. Did it do its distraction move, which it probably should have, but I just don't remember because I was commenting. Wow. And then a swap of their own. And Pierre opens with Deliberate Prowl. And this is one thing, if you follow me on my streams, Deliberate Prowl is not even a move I ever think about. But Pierre here is using it to self-buff, kind of like a Mutual Fury. Definitely a play that I need to get better at utilizing for sure. I think Gripo destroys Nimis as well. I'm not really sure. I guess the distraction, the precise pounce did the 50% reduction in damage is why her Nimis survived that relatively unscathed. And going with the Deliberate Prowl. Now here's the advantage to doing the Deliberate Prowl. There's no counterattack, which is going through armor and everything else. And that is the big move for Gripo. So here I get, now that I'm actually seeing this matchup again, I don't see Gripo a whole lot, but it makes sense. The less times you can attack, the better you're going to be. She's actually faring really well here. Remember, there is not going to be any swap out. I fully expect another Deliberate Prowl, and this is just going to be a cycle. Deliberate Prowl, pounce in order to reduce damage by 50%, rinse, wash, repeat. And that, having not seen this battle, this totally makes sense that this is how you'd want to play this particular matchup. I just don't see her opponent giving up Gripo, though. At the end of the day, there's going to be a battle of attrition. Someone is going to whittle down the other one, and most likely it's going to be Gripo that whittles down Smile Enemies. But this one's going to take a while. And then she throws a curveball. So this is a move that I would have made right here. Because, in my opinion, if I can't end run, then I'm going to get Rampage on top of Rampage on. I can just spam my Rampage moves. It's not what Pierre did. She went for whittling down the Gripo by doing the Prowl and the Pounce, and the Prowl and the Pounce. But then was able to stack a couple of rampage moves. It's like 3 straight rampage moves right there. Now it ended up getting her knocked out, but look at that. Now the Grypo is completely set up for a revenge kill, and she can set up her Triostronics here, which is going to be doing some massive, massive damage. I don't even know that this region is going to be all that beneficial. Oh, and she timed it out perfectly. She knew that her opponent was going to go for the regen. I would have just done whichever move got the KO here. So I would have checked. I didn't see if Ferocious Strike. She knows what damage her creatures do. 8100? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And I think her opponent's done. Like, I don't even know what her opponent could bring in. Mags isn't gonna be able to survive the Ferocious Strike right here. And even if it does, I don't think it's going to. But it did. But then she has Monostegon for the swap, the Monostego for the swap in KO. And unless her opponent just happened to time that perfectly, like, there was no reason to swap out there. So she really had her opponent dead to rights. That was a nice come from behind victory right there. Very well thought out plays on both players' parts. I was more focusing on how Pierre was playing than I was on their opponent. But even watching it, she really, in that last one specifically, she really set up her team. And so it was like from the very start of the battle, she swapped out into a better matchup. And then with her, once it was gone, once her Grypo was gone, she had a bad matchup again. So in a case of where I'm playing, if I have bad matchups on bad matchups, I'm pretty much done. But she was able to finagle it around and make the best out of her bad matchup by not attacking and then stacking a few rampages. Now, it did end up getting her knocked out, but what she ended up doing is setting up her best counter punch, and it was actually like a haymaker. So if you think about it, she was doing jabs, jabs, and jabs, and then body blows to set up the haymaker, where she comes up under the defense at the end to go for the knockout with her Triostronics and the Monostego. And honestly, the Triostronics is going to be difficult to stop. So once she got that thing locked and loaded, it was kind of just all academic at that point, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. How do you think Pierre played this, and what moves did you see throughout these battles that you thought were either questionable or were like a higher level than what you would normally do? And what can you guys take away from these battles to utilize whatever level you were on? And finally, let me know, do you want to see more types of these breakdowns in future videos? If you want to catch me live, you can find me on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Fridays will be geared around the tournament of the weekend. Since I don't have a set streaming schedule, make sure you are following me on Twitter. Links, as always, are down in the description below. Thank you to Gamepress. Thank you to Pierre. Make sure you check their services out as well. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. While you're there, subscribe and turn on the alert notifications so you know when the next video goes live here on YouTube. That's all I've got for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time. Now I'm going to throw out the disclaimer at the start of this video that I have no idea when 1.14 is going to be released, but we did see teasers for it last week, and this week looks very odd. The reason why I say that this week looks odd is because of the breakup of it and exactly what the week is. Pterosaurs and